Throw it out there.
Like, how much even name recognition does it have? It's like an 18-year-old cult classic.
Yeah, but you throw a name on anything. Like, it's Encounters of the Third Kind, the cartoon.
High Fidelity.
Yeah.
The app.
See if you just throw out a name with it. But with the Purge stuff, I mean, for me, it's getting insane. Like, are that people that into the Purge? Like, are we basically waiting for, like, the Purge theme park that I was bringing up to you earlier?
They're
like,
not as into it as you are against it.
Maybe that's
Let's put it that way.
You know what? That's what it is. I'm enjoying hating on the Purge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's working. Their marketing's working
you.
for me. All right. I believe we are live now. Hello, everyone. This is Between the Streams. This is our weekly podcast here for entertainment. We talk about everything movies, television, everything that's streaming, all that's happening in the world right now with that. And we try to bring you the news that we know about. And we enjoy hearing from you and finding out what you're watching, what you're listening to, you know, what you're enjoying right now. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube as usual. Today we are also live on Twitch and I believe Periscope as well on Twitter. So we got people tuning in from all over the place, and I'm going to try to follow along with your comments, so let us know what those are. Today we're going to be talking about some Han Solo news. We've got Disney streaming service news, surprising things that we're going to talk about here in a minute. We've got Rampage out at the box office. Lots of stuff to cover today. But to start off with, since it is Friday the 13th and A Quiet Place is killing at the box office, our first question is, what is the last horror movie you watched? Like, what's the most recent one? We want to know about it. I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And so let's kind of get into this as we get the comments that are coming through here, what the most recent one is. And I've been watching, honestly, Netflix has been kind of my source for a lot of horror movies lately. And we are definitely, I heard some of the comments coming through. I'm not going to repeat. I'm already looking at them right now. It is a Friday here. So we've got Insidious 3. George just said, I watched Insidious 3. I want 2 hours of my life back. So that's not the right one. Bill said, Let the Right One In. That is one that I haven't seen. Is that a pretty good one?
Yeah. There's two. There's an American version and a Norwegian version.
A Norwegian version as well.
Is it Norwegian?
Okay.
It's somewhere up north.
Well, I'll let you work that out as you're trying to figure that one out. Happy Death Day, Brian said. Happy Death Day
that was actually a fun movie.
That really
it's not good, but it's fun.
It was fun, though. Yeah, it was
it's
surprisingly far better than I thought it was going to be.
Really? See, it's just such a Groundhog Day ripoff, and I've seen that movie so many times that it's like, it almost was just, it almost was like they took the script from Groundhog Day and put it in a Word doc and then just like, took out, funny moment and put in scary moment. That
bad, huh?
It's pretty damn close. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still enjoyed it.
But yeah, it's
fun. I thought it was pretty good. But
it's a fun idea.
That is a great one. So yeah, we do want to hear what your comments are and see what movies you are watching with that. But to get to the point, part of the horror movie idea, and we'll be talking about a lot of other things here coming up, is A Quiet Place is killing at the box office right now. It is doing really well, and that was actually a surprise to me.
It was a surprise to most people. For one reason, Jim Halpert directed it.
Yeah.
And he's such a layabout. I didn't know he could actually direct a movie. No. John Krasinski, has been doing some cool things here and there since The Office, but nothing like monumental. So this is his passion project with his wife, Emily Blunt, and we've been hearing a lot about it, and the name doesn't necessarily strike a scary tone.
Right.
And the idea of it, you're like, how are they going to have a movie where everybody's quiet? What's this about? But then you get there and you realize that, like anything that hits this way, usually, there's really something extremely brilliant about what they've done here. It's a great premise.
And we're not going to give any spoilers.
Really well executed.
Can you recap what the premise is again?
So basically, the premise is there are scary monsters about, and they kill anything that makes sound.
Okay.
And so this family,
you have to be quiet.
So this family with John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, and Cade Woodward are out on this farm, and you're just sort of dropped into it, and all you know is that they have to be completely silent, basically all the time.
Okay.
For fear of getting killed.
Okay.
By these monsters, and we don't know where they've come from, and it's just sort of this crazy idea because you've read a few things about it. One of the interesting things is horror uses sound, usually a lot of sound, usually bombastic sound to build the drama.
Or specific sounds, like even when you think about Nightmare on Elm Street, like the, Freddy's claws.
Well, and this is sort of the inverse in that, but it's not like there isn't sound. It's just that it's sort of the polarity of that, the flip polarity of that, and they use sound so it's so austere that the way it happens has more dramatics. And another interesting thing,
$10 word, by the way.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, and another cool thing about it is I think it's a really interesting one to see in the theater. When we first got there, we were like, maybe this is a bad one for the theater because you're in there and it's really quiet on screen, so you could hear everything around you.
I feel like I would hear everybody like chewing or like shuffling.
And you do, but then you sort of get used to that. And also everybody's breath is sort of taken away by this movie because it's so well done. The drama is at a fever pitch for much of the movie. You're just sort of on the edge of your seat. And it also reminded me of something. Bear with me here. I'm going to get kind of artsy-fartsy, but there's this guy. He was a very well-known composer named John Cage who did a lot of experimental things. One of the experiments he did is called 4 minutes, 33 seconds, in which he sits on stage with full instruments, with a full orchestra, and they don't make a sound.
See, I don't know. That stuff...
But what's interesting about it, and if you take it towards this movie, it's a similar thing in that having the silence around you, pretty soon people start getting uncomfortable. They're not sure what's going on, especially when people didn't know about this composition. And what the actual song is the sounds in the audience. The audience makes the music. And there's a little bit of that in this movie. There's a touch of that where the complete silence in the audience and the silence on screen sort of meld together for this really interesting experience outside of the film. But then the other things that are really cool, but that's just one element. The other things that are really cool about it is just the performances are on, they're in the spotlight because there's not much dialogue. You can't hide. It's really your facial expressions and your movements. And through that, I have this new proclamation that Emily Blunt is perhaps the best actress in the U.S. working today right now of her generation. I think Meryl Streep is the best, but I think she is en route to being that kind of caliber, if not quite as good as Streep, because I don't know if anybody's ever going to be as good as Streep, but her performance in this movie, when you look at her range going further back, like Edge of Tomorrow to Devil Wears Prada to, now she's going to do Mary Poppins. I have a feeling she's going to kill that, the sequel to Mary Poppins. So she was amazing. John Krasinski's really good in it too, and have to shout out to Millicent Simmons, who is an actual deaf actress who plays a deaf person in this, which also adds another element to the movie because she can't, hear what's going on exactly. Yeah. So she's sort of a liability. So many cool things coming together in this film. And so it's not at all surprising once you understand why it's a success.
Okay. Well, now you've got me wanting to watch it.
It's pretty great.
I will have a difficult time watching it in the theater with that.
It's definitely a different kind of element, for sure.
It's being noted, Greg is the guy that has to cough when it's supposed to be silent. He's too uncomfortable. I know. That would be me. As soon as it got quiet, I'd be like, crap, I'm going to cough so bad right now. I don't want to make a noise or or I sneeze in the middle of it.
Exactly. This happened. I was leaving for the bathroom, and I'd never do this, but I had brought in a water bottle because I was feeling really dehydrated. Clang, clang, clang. Dropped it when I left. Luckily, it didn't roll all the way down, but it was super loud. Everybody's looking at me, and I dart back, and I'm like, "Did you find the bottle yet?" She's like, "No."
No, it's just like that's gone. The bottle's gone.
I did find the bottle. Made another noise, but
oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're gonna go to this thing, make sure you've got all your stuff in line.
All right. Well, A Quiet Place out, and just to talk a little bit more about some of the horror movie stuff that's coming out that we know of, and then we'll get into talking about the weekend box office and Disney's streaming service, which is doing some interesting things.
Yes.
It's not even out yet. So A Quiet Place, looking forward, though, towards some newer things. We've got It Chapter 2. We did get some news about casting for that.
Yeah.
So if you saw It, the first one, obviously they're all kids in this. The second one's going to be all these kids as adults. And the casting is pretty interesting so far. Jessica Chastain is signed on.
Yeah,
she's already on
makes
board.
sense.
It does.
You knew it was going to be either her or Amy Adams, pretty much.
Probably, yeah. It was going to be one of the two of them. So Jessica Chastain's on board, but also they're looking at, and I guess they're closing in on contracts for Bill Hader would be one of them, and James McAvoy also playing two of the adults.
That's a killer cast.
That's a good cast there.
Yeah, you need those guys.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. So
Bill Hader is surprisingly good at drama too.
Bill Hader's great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, it's next year's the year of Bill Hader.
It is going to be a Hader-sance.
Yeah, a Hader's.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that's what it is either. But
I haven't seen his HBO show yet. I think it's out now, but I definitely want to see that.
I've been waiting actually for a few of them to show up, so that way I can kind of.
And for those who don't know, he's playing a former mob killer, or like a former killer for hire who wants to become an actor.
Right.
Which is such a funny premise.
So a couple other things just to keep you up to date on what's happening with the horror movies, and then we'll bounce on to some other stuff. Also, we have the news. The Nun from The Conjuring is getting a movie called The Nun. If you watch the Conjuring movies, it's one of my. I still like it. It's still one of my favorites.
That's pretty scary. If
the Nun is terrifying.
Video,
we've got an image that's up. That's what the Nun looks like from the Conjuring movie, Conjuring 2. And now we're going to get the origin story of the Nun. It's probably going to be terrible, and I will watch. Absolutely, watch it.
Probably love it.
I will probably love it.
Yeah,
I will probably.
As long as it's not The Purge.
Yes. No, we're getting to The Purge. Also, The Predator, which is going to be coming out. We have the Predator 3, I guess is what it will be. We did get a picture of the image of the mask, the new mask of the Predator.
Looks like the Predator.
Looks very similar to the other one. I saw a lot of people were very excited about it.
For those who don't know, Shane Black, who is directing this, was in the original movie, helped on the script, also wrote Lethal Weapon 1, wrote the story for Lethal Weapon 2, which my wife and I just watched. She'd never seen Lethal Weapon 2. And we rewatched Lethal Weapon 1. She hadn't seen it for a long time. But Shane Black, he's good. I'm excited about this movie.
You're all right with that Shane Black guy?
I'm excited about this movie.
Okay.
He's also done some other thing. I think he did Iron Man 3 recently.
Yeah,
so
he did, yeah.
He does, but he always kind of puts an interesting spin on movies, too.
Well, there is the mask, so we did show that. You can, of course, find that as well. But so the mask looks good. I'm excited. Boyd Holbrook, who is from Narcos, he stars in it. Edward James Olmos is in it. Olivia Munn. Keegan-Michael Key. Let's see. Yeah, lots of people actually are in this thing. So it's Thomas Jane also is another big one. So we'll see. That should be coming out pretty soon. So all right,
a lot of people to kill.
A lot of people to kill. This is the other thing that I wanted to update on, which is what I was talking about at the beginning. Last week we talked about how The Purge has the first Purge, the movie that's coming out around, I believe it's July 4th, and now we've got the Purge TV series premiering shortly thereafter.
You got to get the prequel, and you got to get the series.
And now there's going to be a television series of the Purge.
Then there's going to be an animated series.
Purge movies. Seriously, there's going to be an animated series. There's going to be a theme park that opens up. There's no ending to this. Yeah, the Purge, baby. So there's going to be some kind of thing.
Theme park could get messy.
It would be very messy. Yeah. Buy 2 Purges, get the third one.
It's just paintball, or
I don't know. But anyway, the Purge, that's where we're at right now. So the Purge television series is going to be coming out. So
not a fan.
I wanted to give you the update on that. Let's talk about the box office before we get into talking about ESPN's streaming service, Disney streaming service, and everything going on with that. So the box office this weekend, other than A Quiet Place, which is still out.
Yeah, you really only picked one, didn't you?
I did only pick one.
It's Rampage.
Rampage.
Yeah, and our reviewer Rick Marshall saw it, and he enjoyed it. He said it was not fantastic, but it's The Rock, and you got to love The Rock.
Is that really what it is? You just put The Rock in it, and it's going to be enjoyable?
Yeah, it's San Andreas, same director.
Oh, man, San Andreas. Oh, is this?
Yeah.
San Andreas was horrible.
Well, a lot of people apparently liked it because it did really well at the box office.
They did.
Brad Payton came back for this one. It's big monsters. The twist is that the gorilla is Rock's friend. He's like some sort of former special forces who now works with like an organization to help animals, go back into the wild or something like that. And so this gorilla of his is one of the monsters. They get hit by a gas and become these gigantic monsters.
No. And then The Rock does stuff.
Yeah, and apparently the worst part, though, is that Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays like a Colonel Sanders type character and has all these folksy sayings and this really overdone accent.
Oh, wow.
And Rick said it was not his favorite part of the movie. Also said the monsters look pretty good for most of it, but there's some CG green screen kind of looking stuff. But, if you just want a mindless movie to go watch The Rock be The Rock, this will probably get the job done for you.
Satisfy your rock
If you liked San Andreas and you want monsters,
you'll love Rampage.
But I don't know that it's, for the game enthusiasts, I think the premise ends with they're monsters and they blow stuff up. So
all right. Well, there we go. So Rampage.
There wasn't much to go with. It was an 8-bit video game. So.
Seriously, yeah. That's how much they stretched on this. So Rampage out now. Let's talk about a couple other things, some news that we got as far as other streaming services. And I'm always curious to see what streaming services people are, because it's impossible to get all of them. I mean, I guess you could get all of them, but if you're willing to pay for that. But one of the new ones now is ESPN Plus. So ESPN Plus, streaming service that we knew it was coming. It is out now, so you can sign up. I think you can get a free trial for a week, and there's a way to get a 30-day free trial too. We have the details at digitaltrends.com.
Right.
$5 And you get to stream some content.
Stuff. Yeah. So we thought,
not all this
content. I think last year around this time, we thought that the breakaway service was going to be similar to HBO or Showtime or Starz or any of these services where you get the premium network broken away from the cable and pay $10 to $15 for it. Yeah. Instead, Disney is sort of doing its own weird thing. Disney bought BAMTech, which helped build. They started with MLB. They built MLB's live streaming services. Then they helped HBO create HBO Now. And now they're owned by Disney to help them create their services. So we really thought that it was going to be more than it is. Now we're getting ESPN Plus. It's $5 a month, and it's some stuff.
Right.
We don't exactly know what it's going to be.
Well, they'll have...
but it's not the entire network. And if you want to get the entire network, you can opt in, but you have to have a cable subscription. So.
Yeah, and then it goes back to, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
The streaming service right now, it'll have MLB, NHL, MLS games, Top Rank Boxing, PGA Golf, Grand Slam Tennis, and then the 30 for 30 series are on there. I mean, those are good.
It'd be nice to have tennis if you don't have cable. That's always
if you're
fun.
into tennis.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Slam Tennis is great.
Is it?
I'm a fan.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then this is for you. ESPN
Maybe.
Plus.
I bet it's $5 a month. It's one more service. It's sort of like CBS All Access where you're like, I don't know if you're giving me enough, and I don't know how many services I can subscribe to. Yeah. And we also think that Disney's other service is going to be around $5 a month and give you some stuff.
Yeah, Vicky is saying, I refuse to pay for CBS All Access. No way I'm going to pay for ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's, for a lot of people, unless you get everything that you want and you can cherry pick which teams and sports you want, if I could do that, then yeah, I would be interested in that.
Yeah,
I could pick everything specifically.
Yeah, well, and I think like Major League Baseball NBA is now doing something where you can buy games per game.
They're experimenting with that. You can buy per quarter.
Right.
If it's something in the fourth quarter.
You want if the fourth quarter is getting good, it's like $1 to drop in on the fourth quarter.
Which I may try some of that.
It's not a bad idea.
Test it out since we do have the playoffs coming up. I'll try to do that. And see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, they use the term a la carte for this stuff. Right. That's about as a la carte as it gets right there.
Well, and that's just one part of what Disney's going to be coming out with, because obviously we know they're coming out with their own standalone streaming service. And just briefly, there is another rumor of a series they're going to be bringing to it. So obviously they're going to have Star Wars standalone series. We've discussed that before. We know that's happening. Marvel, I'm sure they'll have some Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
That'll also go
Well, yeah, we kind of thought they were going to have every Marvel movie, but it's hard to say if that's how that's going to work out.
Or at least new television series that'll be on the Disney service. You know they'll mind that. Also, they're bringing back some really strange ones since they have such a huge library now. They've got High Fidelity. If you remember High Fidelity, the movie with John Cusack.
Great movie.
Based on a 1995 book by Nick Hornby, and basically John Cusack is a record shop owner who then goes back and he's depressed and he goes back and talks to all his ex-girlfriends.
Yeah.
And tries to track
having
back
an existential crisis of sorts.
Right. It's a classic movie. It
breaks the fourth wall. It's fun. It's Cusack at his best. It's Jack Black kind of really hitting the mainstream scene and being really funny.
Yeah, and now Disney is going to be bringing that back as a series. It's going to be written by Veronica West and Sarah Kusurka. And they're going to do what they're saying is a very different take compared to the book and the movie.
So it's really not the same at all.
That's the thing. It's just, well, then it's not High Fidelity.
Yeah.
So it's just why does it need to be called High Fidelity? It just doesn't make any sense.
Tell them what Cusack said.
But yeah, I can't even quote what Cusack said. Basically, he implied they're going to F it up.
Yeah.
That's what Cusack said. And he's probably right. It just sounds like it's a different kind of a series altogether. Like, if you're not going to do the book or the movie, then you've got a different show, then it's not High Fidelity. So, I mean,
and that never should have had a sequel. It didn't need one. It's kind of its own little statement, and it really doesn't need to continue now, I would think. And it's all female cast, so they're doing this whole thing. And like you said, so it's not High Fidelity, it's just some other thing, really.
Yeah.
Like, if Cusack was in it, or if some semblance of that came back, you would think that would be worthy of the name or whatever. Yeah. But maybe it'll be good. You never know. Fargo was good.
It could be great. It's just the idea is, well, it doesn't sound like it's High Fidelity. So
that's a good point.
But that's where we're at. So that is just talking about some of the rumors of what Disney's going to be bringing to their standalone service. We actually have still a lot to get to. Talking about The Incredibles coming out. We've got some Han Solo stuff. One other thing, though, I did want to bring up, Apple, lest you forget, is still trying to beef up a streaming service of their own. And they did just buy up the rights to the Isaac Asimov books that were the inspiration for Star Wars. So they bought up the rights to them. It's a trilogy of books called Foundation. And Apple just bought the rights to them. in order to make them into series. Series or movies, I guess. We don't really know what exactly they're going to be doing, but probably.
I guess I didn't know that Star Wars was based on a book.
Well,
and then I'm reading it. It doesn't sound like anything.
And I don't want to say based.
Somewhat inspired by.
Well, Foundation. So the story of Foundation is the trilogy of a stories of humans who live throughout the galaxy under the rule of a galactic empire. And protagonist Harry Seldon has developed a branch of mathematics that allows him to predict the future and the eventual fall of the empire. So it's not Star Wars, but it's
I've seen those books. Okay, yes.
Inspiration.
Yes, I've
for
seen
Star
those
Wars.
Gotcha.
So that is what Apple has picked up, so we'll see what they end up doing with that. Speaking, though, going back to the Disney side of things and Star Wars, I guess, we did get a new Solo trailer that came out May 25th. Lest you forget, Solo is coming out soon. I feel like they're not doing as much press on this as they did for The Force Awakens. Or, I mean, The Last Jedi.
Yeah, really it's also a break-off movie, so it's not as big. But yeah, I think I felt a little bit better after the first trailer, and I feel better again after this trailer. I think it looks more interesting to me than it did before, and I think that's, I guess, a positive sign.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty cool trailer. It's fun. There's some fun moments in it. It looks like it's going to be more of a heist movie.
Yeah.
Which is always, a good way to create some action and some drama. And, Donald Glover looks really like Lando.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, but the trailers are not turning me off. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'm interested.
All right.
I know you're not very interested in this movie, but
well, I just feel like there's so many things that could go wrong with it.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to take an iconic character like Han Solo.
Yes.
Be like, I feel like honestly, my honest opinion is I feel like they're just using him because it's like, oh yeah, Han Solo is popular. Let's do something with that. Like that's how I'm feeling about it, but I also don't want to be the curmudgeon-y guy that's like, yeah. So, which I am being. So I will watch it. I will definitely watch it, and we'll see where it goes.
It's going to be interesting.
We got another trailer for The Incredibles, which I know a lot of people were very excited to see this. The Incredibles 2, which is, it's coming out June 15th. I did like the original Incredibles.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of my favorites in the entire Pixar family, so I'm stoked for this. I know it was like everybody thought this was coming like 15 years ago, but the same thing happened with Finding Dory, and I thought that was really good too. So I'm hoping this is going to be awesome. Well, they got the whole clan back together.
Cast is back.
Yep. So it should be good.
The whole crew. So The Incredibles 2 coming out June 15th.
They're going to have a hard time screwing it up. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, now that you said that, that's when they're going to screw it up.
Well, I don't think so.
All right, bouncing through a couple more things, and we'll eventually circle back around to the horror movies, so please keep dropping those in there if you have your favorite horror movie. We will talk about those. Another trailer, because we have so many movies coming out over the next 3 months. Ocean's 8 is also coming out with Sandra Bullock, and this is looking better and better to me, too.
Yeah, killer cast.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
There's also... so Matt Damon and Carl Reiner are also reprising their roles in this.
Really?
As cameos.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will tie in to the original Ocean's, trilogy.
Right.
Which I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That they're going to tie it into that. So, I'm excited for this. I'll watch this.
I'm definitely into it. At first, I thought it was a weird idea, but the more you see and the cast and the trailers look fun. So,
yeah. Taking a look at comments here, live comments on Facebook. Wayne just said he watched Mama 2 hours ago. So, have you ever seen Mama?
No.
Mama. Oh,
no.
God, it's creepy.
Is that the catchphrase?
Mama. Oh, yeah.
God.
It's some weird... It's about...
It's creepy just having you do that.
It's these two... Let's see if I'm trying to remember correctly. Yeah, two young girls, yeah. Two girls that were, like, abandoned in a cabin, and so they lived on their own forever, and Mama took care of them.
Okay.
It's creepy, dude. So they're basically like wild children.
Yeah.
And they find them and bring them back into society. And
then they start killing people?
Mama. Yeah.
God.
See, it's creepy enough just me saying that.
Yeah, it's creepy, all right.
Yeah, I agree, Wayne. That one's terrifying. Okay, moving on. A couple more trailers here to get to and some news, and then we'll circle back and talk about the horror movies. We do have this. This is clearly Oscar territory that we're getting into right now.
The National Treasure Director is back, baby.
When I bring up the name Jason Statham, you think Oscars.
Yes.
And that is what we have. Yes, and John Turteltaub, director of National Treasure.
But did he direct National Treasure 2? Because that's when the series really came into its own, I felt.
Oh, God. Anyway, the two of these powerhouses have teamed up for a movie called The Meg. And Meg is about I guess it's based on Steve Alten's best-selling novel.
And Dwight's in it, too.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Dwight in there, too?
Yeah.
Jason Statham is a deep-sea diver recruited to rescue the crew of an undersea research station terrorized by a megalodon.
That is one
gigantic
big
shark that turns out it's not extinct. And Jason Statham has to go into, Jason Statham mode.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get that shark.
This thing is like the size of a cruise ship. I don't really know how they're going to fight
That's
it.
my Jason Statham. It's not very good, but
what is it?
There should be a lot more profanity. But
how's it go again?
I'll get you.
I'm sorry?
I'll get you, shark.
That's a great British accent. I'm going to have to break that out when I head across the pond this week.
Pretty good. Yeah, you are going to England. You can feel free to use my Jason Statham.
I need to study this tape.
Yes.
God.
Let them know. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks like a dumb movie, but it could be fun.
It looks really dumb.
Yeah.
Really dumb.
But it's the kind of dumb that's supposed to be dumb.
Right. So expect that around Oscar time next year. All right. A couple more notes. Just one I wanted to bring up. Game of Thrones is still filming. We will someday get the next season of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Supposedly in a year. They did. I feel like we're
never going to get
really
the books,
hard.
but we're going to get the series.
And I feel like Game of Thrones is trying really hard to throw out things to be like, oh, no, we're
still around.
We're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
And they did release some information that for apparently one battle from this upcoming season, from season 8, took 55 nights to shoot.
That sounds miserable.
55 nights, 3 different locations, all for one battle.
Is it because they kept screwing up, or is it a really big battle?
They said that, what did he say? They posted it on Instagram and said, says it all, 55 consecutive nights, 11 weeks, 3 locations. You'll never again see anything like it.
Never again?
So, well, in a year you'll see it.
All right.
So anyway, Game of Thrones, still shooting. There's a reminder. We'll remind you every now and then.
I mean, it sounds like that's going to be the final battle with the zombies.
I would assume.
I guess we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, well, you would think that.
Maybe the zombies just like go back and they have a big Westeros fight.
We're done.
We were just screwing around.
We're tired.
We were screwing around. We got to... I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
I was going to say we have a blank now, but
we're tired. All right, so there we go. Game of Thrones. A couple more final things that we're going to do.
Saying we're tired or they're tired?
Yeah, the zombies. That's a long walk.
Yeah, it is a long walk.
All right. A couple more things just to bring to you, and then we'll circle back around with the horror movies and wrap up today's episode. But we do have this. I thought this was cool. Henson Studios, the Jim Henson Company, has acquired the rights to Wesley the Owl, which on its own, it's maybe not my cup of tea necessarily. It's Wesley the Owl, the remarkable love story of an owl and his girl. It's about a young girl, young Caltech biologist who is asked to mentor and raise Wesley, a barn owl with a wing injury, and then Wesley is there for her through all these things. I just like that.
Is this a true story?
I don't think so. You called me out on that. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a true story. It is based on a true story.
Okay.
Stacey O'Brien's best-selling memoir. I was just testing you on that, and
good.
That's
well,
what it's based
I was
on.
Just curious about that.
Yep.
And that's good to know.
So anyway, Jim Henson Jim Henson Company acquiring the rights to that. And lest you forget, they still have the Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance coming out. They've got, which is going to be a movie or a series on Netflix.
I like how that's your new catchphrase. Lest you forget.
Yeah, that's what I'm sticking with today.
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
good.
Going with.
It's good. This is the lest episode.
That's the lest you forget. The Happy Time Murders also coming out with Melissa McCarthy, which is I believe is going to be an R-rated Muppets movie. Awesome. So there's lots coming up with the Jim Henson Company.
Yeah, the Dark Crystal thing is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I hope that comes out.
I hope so too. Yeah. And the one thing I was going to do before we go back up to the top and just talk about the horror movies really quick to recap today is right now on HBO, if you have HBO, you can watch the Andre the Giant documentary. And if you know who Andre the Giant is, obviously he's a wrestler from primarily you know him from WWF in the 80s. And
I primarily
90s.
Know him from A Princess Bride.
Princess Bride also. And he was a legendary wrestler, and it's just kind of tells the backstory of him. It's obviously like all of these things. It's a tragic story, some of it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he was just like a really, really nice guy.
Yep.
And but then he had to play the villain, for part of his career. And
he had health problems because he was so gigantic.
So big.
Yeah.
And it's just the interviews with a lot of wrestlers who are still alive, just talking about him and the legend of Andre the Giant and the actual person and some of his friends and family. It's really cool. So I suggest that one. It's a bit of a tearjerker.
Is that your Between the Cracks for this week?
That would be my Between the Cracks. Yeah,
that's a good choice.
If you haven't seen it, it just came out, but still, it's really cool. It's on HBO. All right, back to what we were saying, the last horror movie you watched, well, I can tell you the one that I'm going to watch is Veronica, because I have heard such good things about Veronica. It's on Netflix, and that is the one. That's the one I want to check out right now. So I'll be checking that out this weekend. But that's why we like hearing recommendations from anybody, too, as far as what you've watched. You should watch Mama.
Yeah. I'm not going to watch that at all. I'm already scared.
Mama. All right, so there's that.
But everyone else should go watch A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. I think. That is your recommendation.
Yeah.
All right, for this week. So all of that, you can check out A Quiet Place in the theater. You can watch Mama somewhere, and I'm going to watch Veronica on Netflix, and that's addictive to just keep saying it like that.
Yeah, you can't stop.
No, I can't. And I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned into Between the Streams this week for the live version on Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. And we are everywhere, but we are also a podcast. And that's what we really want you, if you can, go there and subscribe to that wherever you're listening to podcasts, however you find that. Hit that subscribe button on Between the Streams. Just search for us, and we'll pop right up. And that way you make sure you get episodes every week. Next week, we are out, but we may have a special episode for you.
Yes.
There's still maybe something there.
A classic.
So that's why you need to subscribe to make sure you get it.
That's correct.
Go there, subscribe to those. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back maybe next week, but definitely in 2 weeks with another episode. Thanks for watching.